Good evening, everyone, and welcome you to the October meeting of Public Safety. And we're also glad to have any visitors that are with us this evening at our meeting, and welcome you to be here and welcome you to come back at any time you may be coming this way. Our first order of business this evening is to approve the minutes from the last meeting, and I'll accept a motion to approve those minutes. We have a motion.
I've reviewed those minutes and found them to be in order. Move that we dispense with the reading and that they be adopted.
Have that motion. Have a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is discussion or suggestions from Motorola. So I guess I will bring that forward. Who wants to, any discussion there, anything dealing with the communication system?
That may have been just a carryover from the agenda item. We've got kind of a radio system update.
You got it in
Public
that too?
safety.
In public safety?
So we'll just
Okay.
wait till then if that's okay.
All right, we can do that, no problem. Sheriff's Office report. I think we promised you anyway to be first, so. And y'all might have time to get down there for trick-or-treating tonight at the Sheriff's Department.
Here you go.
Thank you.
They're having a drive-through down there, I believe, tonight.
Yeah.
For kids to come by.
Oh, that's good. It's not raining. It's going to be raining Thursday.
Yes, ma'am.
Need to move some money in our restricted for public safety and narcotics to maintenance and repair to $20,000.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second that.
Mr. P makes the motion. Mr. Gurley seconds. Any
Before-
discussion? Anything you will say further about it? We'll call the roll on this one.
Commissioner Phillips,
Aye.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sherino,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed.
Yes.
Before I get into the reports, we've spoken a lot in the last 2 years over the state criminal alien assistant program, where we had someone help us fill out that paperwork. We did receive a check for $21,700 from that program to assist us in getting handbooks made in Spanish and other programs like GED programs and things like that. So y'all will see amendments once we decide how to spend that money. And I just wanted y'all to know we did receive, the most we've ever gotten doing it ourselves was $4,000. So this is pretty big to pay them the $3,000. We'll have to pay them and still come out with about $19,000. So other than that, it's just the reports. If y'all have any questions, I did add, I will do this every 3 months. I'm trying to show y'all what these older vehicles are costing us. And that's at the very end. It's long, that's why you're only gonna get it every 3 months. But I do just wanna show you what the aging fleet is actually costing the county. Other than that, I told y'all I would continue. Right now, we currently have 19 openings in detention. That's not good. And, but we'll do the best we can with what we got. We are constantly interviewing, getting people in, trying to get them hired. It's a process. I've included the medical reports, and I've also included the facility count as far as how it breaks down for y'all to look at. And I'll continue to give those to y'all monthly.
Where are those 19 openings? Where?
Detention.
Totally in detention.
We had 5 go to MPD, and of course we took some for our new patrol. And it seems like we hire and it just, you know, there's resignations and, I mean, they are giving notice, that's a good thing, but it's constant. I think the workhouse and juvenile will tell you it's about the same with them also. I don't know if the workhouse gets them like we do, but
That seems to be
it's a hard job.
nationwide. I think
It is.
everything I
It
read
is.
is nationwide. If anybody's ever been over there and watched that, see, you understand that.
Right.
Commissioners, any questions on the report, what she has presented?
So the education must be at least high school diploma.
It is.
Have you got some of your new Durangos in?
No, sir.
Not yet.
Sir. We're just hanging on.
Okay.
Won't be long. It'll be quicker than what we think.
Well, I saw one yesterday, it was a Durango, so I didn't know if it was one of the new
Well, we
ones.
bought some last year.
Gotcha.
We
So
haven't
it's
got
a-
any of the new leasing.
So it's an 18 model.
Right.
These are all going to be 20s, right?
Right.
Okay, good.
They're close.
We're close.
Just ask a quick question on, if I can, on turnover. If you worked with the county HR department to do surveys or anything to try to get at the bottom and maybe make some recommendations to the commission as to what we can do to improve that?
About 15 of these, 13 of those are going to our patrol division. And we had, I think, 5 that got hired at MPD to go to patrol. So they're just doing something better for themselves.
Still, I'm just wondering if there's something that we can do, some recommendations that can be made to kind of improve that. If people are moving up and moving on, there's probably not a lot you can do about it. But if they're leaving for other reasons, I just
We
wonder.
require them to have 1 year in detention before they can come out on patrol. The city has taken a few, well, most of these that have been less than a year in the back. So that's just them wanting to move on and get into the law enforcement side instead of the correction side.
Anything else?
You got a start date on Siemens?
You know, they came down last week, and we are getting together in the next couple of weeks because we have to formulate and prioritize what we want first. Laundry, of course, is huge.
Yeah, so
So-
you think that'd probably be your first,
2-3 weeks, we should be having a
that'd be
plan.
your first start? Good.
And that's gonna be great.
New laundry?
Just updating equipment. yeah.
Okay.
Any numbers in the budget report we should be aware of?
Overtime's gonna be an issue again, it always is. But we'll deal with it when it comes up.
Okay, do I have
enough
a,
openings to cover a lot of that overtime?
Yeah, and that's true. It does work out that way. You have the slack in salaries. I didn't even think about that until you said it.
there's no more questions, I'll accept the motion for approval of the report.
So moved.
Motion. Mr. Rutherford. Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, sir. OSHA.
Good evening. Should have the report there. You'll notice that in the month of, we had 34 injuries in the month of September. The breakdown there is, as you see that. That brings the total for the year to date at the end of September to 203 injuries requiring medical attention. Of that breakdown, 137 of them are OSHA recordable. 65 were restricted days, and what that is if an injury requires an employee that they're not able to perform their full duty, then they're put on restrictions. It may be a lifting restriction or a restriction that they can't use their right arm to the fullest or something like that. So, but they are able to return to work, and so they work under restrictions. So we had 65 claims that had that. We had 26 which were lost time days. That's where either the restrictions could not be accommodated or the doctors took the individual out of work. And so that's 26 for the year. And then we had 46 all others being that they've probably got some type of prescription that is required to be reported under OSHA standards. So that's the breakdown for the OSHA. As far as the claims, if you look at the 2019 year to date, we had 203 at this time. Last year at this time, we had 199, and the year before that, 2017, we had 164. The incurred dollars for the year-to-date is $375 compared to this time last year at $376, and then 2 years ago it was $440,000. The big thing about incurred dollars, we always have to remember that's an evaluation of the adjuster on what it's going to take in order to close those claims. If the claim required additional treatment, then the individual, then of course the incurred dollars go up. If the claim closes out early, then those dollars are reduced. This is just what was on the books at that time, of the injury. The last page of your report, you'll see we broke it down to different divisions within the county. The Board of Education, the County General, and the Highway. For the month, the County General had 9 injuries, while the Board of Education had 25. We broke down the 9 for the County General and you'll see there that they break down with the Sheriff Department, the Ambulance Service, and Animal Control calls.
Okay.
That's all I have right now. If you have questions?
Well, you've broken it down into where it's at. Any questions, Commissioners?
If I'm reading this correctly, we had more struck or injured by under the Board of Education than we did under the Sheriff's Office?
Yes. You have 49 schools. In the schools, you have all these students, and of course, things that happen. You have students running down the hallway. They may knock a teacher down. So they've knocked a teacher down, they struck or injured the student from that. Sometimes a student will strike a teacher or an individual. Of course, those things happen. So, but when you look at the big picture, 47 schools, and we have close to 6,000 employees within the Board of Education alone, that's quite a group. If we had 6,000 police officers, I'm sure it'd be up if we had that many more. But we've only got, about 500, 600 officers in the Sheriff's Department, I believe, at this time, so.
That just stuck out to me.
Oh, yeah.
It can be possibly on how it's reported, too, and how it comes through.
Now, I will say this, we've been looking at trying to find ways to reduce and close some gaps that we have with the Board of Education. We've met twice over the last month, once with the Director of HR, Dr. Anthony, and also with the school's safety director. We had a meeting with them. We followed up just 2 weeks later with the the safety director and the maintenance director of the schools to see if we couldn't explore ways of reducing those injuries at the school, seeing if there's gaps in follow-up and gaps in safety and things like that. We've had a couple of meetings. Our plan is to continue to have a face-to-face meeting once a month to address those gaps and look at those claims, and then also to have a weekly phone call with the Director of Safety, make sure we're updating him on what's going on as far as that's concerned and things like that. Then he's going to we're looking at ways then to address these gaps, either by contacting the individual schools or the different departments where there may be things going on and solicit their help in trying to address some of these reoccurring claims or accidents that keep occurring and see what we can do about reducing those. So we're just starting that. Like I said, we've had 2 meetings, and we've got another one planned up later in the month of November to follow up on that again. So our monthly meetings we're planning to do with that.
Anything else?
Move to approve the report, Mr.
We
Chairman.
have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second. Second, Commissioner P. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
And Commissioner Irwin? While he's coming up, I want to say, let you know that we have 2 students from MTSU here this evening that have been recording this as part of a project that they're doing out there at the university. And we're glad to have you with us tonight.
Thank you. Glad we have you.
All right, Recovery Court,
Good evening, John.
Probation Court's here.
We'll start off with drug court. We have 44 participants, 20 males, 24 females. You see the race breakdown there. Dropping down to the drug of choice, you can see the percentages there. The biggest is prescription meds, followed by heroin. Counseling, we had 370 attend their counseling sessions. 374 were to attend, so that's a 98.93% attendance rate. In the AA-NA meetings, we had 40 attend, only 32 needed to, and that was 125% attendance rate. Drug screens, we had 126 negatives and 14 positives. We collected $891 in program fees. We had no community hours, 1 graduate and 1 termination. Under DUI court, we had 50 participants, 33 male, 17 females. You see the race breakdown. Drug of choice was alcohol, followed by marijuana. Attendant counseling sessions, we had 83 attend, 83 was required. That's 100% attendance. MRT sessions, 53 attended, 53 were required, another 100%. AA-NA meetings, 200 attended, 194 were scheduled to attend, which was 103.9 attendance rate. Drug screens, we had 161 negatives and 8 positives. We collected $1,565 in fees. No community hours, 2 graduates and 1 termination. Veterans Court, 21 participants, 17 males, 4 females. Drug of choice was alcohol, and you can see the other breakdowns there. Counseling group sessions, we had 80 attend, 81 was required. 81 was required, so that was 101.25%. increase. AA-NA, 4 attended, 4 was required. We had 100% participation rate. Drug screens, 94 negatives and 1 positive. We collected $714 in program fees and $100 in court fines. We did 13 community hours in Veterans Court. We had 2 graduates and 1 terminated. Mental health, 32 participants, 20 males, 12 females. Drug of choice is alcohol again, followed by a close second by marijuana and prescription meds and methamphetamines. Counseling sessions, 141 attended, 162 was required. That's an 87.4 attendance percentage. MRT, we had none. AA-NA meetings, 34 attended, only 9 were required. That was a 377% participation rate. We had 30 negative drug screens with 5 positives. We collected $110 in program fees. We had 1 graduate and 1 termination. That does it for recovery court.
All right. This is separate from the other report there. Any questions on these different reports that he's given here?
With all the information that's out there and the availability of the CBDs, is that something that you guys have had any problem with? Or?
No, it's written into our handbook that if they get tested and they take it, they'll get test positive and they will get a sanction for it. It's they know they can't take it. We give them a list of prescription meds and different things that they're not allowed to take in the program, and if they take it, they'll test positive and they'll be sanctioned somewhere along the line in court.
Even though it's kind of over the counter now?
They've got the rules. The rules are laid out, and they're given a copy of it. Not only do they get a copy, they sign it, and they're very much aware of what they can and can't take. But our group is pretty good. They'll call us and say, hey, I'm going to the dentist, he told me he's going to give me this non-narcotic, and they'll tell us the name of it and see if they can take it. So they're pretty good about it. And every once in a while, you'll get somebody that wants to test to see if they can get by with it. But for the most part, most of them abide by the program.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else anyone might have?
Move to approve the report.
Steve?
Mayor?
I want to share with the committee, you've got you're trying to arrange a flagpole dedication, right?
That's right.
Mr. Mackin was able to get him some flagpoles.
Yeah, we're trying to get a flagpole dedication and a dedication to the Veterans Court. We did a wall. I don't know whether any of you saw it, but it's we painted the wall black, and each of the armed forces is represented by a plaque, and we have an American flag on it. So we're going to do a dedication with the mayor, and hopefully the commission, some of the commissioners can come out, and we're just trying to find a day that's convenient for everybody. We were probably looking somewhere around the 4th of November, 5th of November.
What's on the wall?
Pardon me?
There are seals of all the armed forces. And then,
No names for any reason?
No, it's just, it's basically honoring the veterans, giving them something special, making them feel special. Some of the other counties around us have done that and did a nice wall up. And, we did the wall. We painted the room, did that wall down there, and we put they're in like a stainless steel, and we have them on the wall, Army, Navy, Marine, and
he's got two nice flagpoles out front.
and we just erected 2 flagpoles thanks to maintenance and some of the help we got. And we have the American flag out there, and Tennessee flag, and POW flag. And a lot of veterans requested that, and we put the requisition in to get it. And we just like to dedicate it, kind of, for the
So we'll
veterans.
make sure Rachel gets whenever he decides a date, Rachel will get an email out to all the members so they can attend if your calendars are.
Yeah, I like the graduation, veteran.
I know you'll be there. But we'd like a big turnout and everything. We're going to get some of our veterans. We're going to put a notice out to them, see if they would come, and maybe do a group picture with the commissioners, the veterans, and the mayor, and kind of rededicate it.
Oh, thank you.
You were talking about their names. Whenever there's a graduation, they have the different branches of the flags. Each service flag is up there, and when they graduate, they put their award ribbon up on that flag. Just if you've ever been in service, your unit is recognized with a ribbon on that flag. Well, they are recognized that they graduated, and they get a service ribbon on there. So that's pretty neat too. If not, I believe you've made the motion, hadn't you, Commissioner Phillips?
Move to approve the report.
Approve the report. That's second. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Rachel will
opposed?
send you that picture of the veterans room, and you can send that out.
The veterans, okay.
Probation. Program fees, 0. Drug screen fees, $396.15. Scram fees, $897.75. And again, the scram fees are from the people we already had on the program before we switched it over. Probation supervision fees, $3880.75. Total collections, $5,174.65. Nothing in the electronic monitoring. Drop down to where it says probation and recovery service revenue, $25,277.25. Probation and recovery services expenditures, $121,598.96, for a difference of $96,321. Probation and recovery services, $9,177. Those who failed to enter into an agreement with the clerk was $21,165. Probation and recovery fees from people who entered an agreement was $48,871, for a negative balance of $71,523.15.
Any questions? I have a motion to approve the report.
So moved.
Mr. P. approves.
Second.
Makes the motion approved. Mr. Gurley seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Public Safety Director report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, we've had another busy month in our world. As you see on the items here, there's a lot of work with the radio system, and I'll let Peter go into that more when we get to that part of the report. But a lot of meetings to make sure that everything's coordinated, make sure that if there's any changes along the way that they're in order. A lot of partnership stuff as well. A couple of bigger picture stuff before I get down to the emergency management side of it and the fire chief will give his report in a minute, but I just want to brag on the department, their new efforts and initiatives toward the volunteer side of the program. And they put together a working team that's kind of really revamping that whole side of the county fire department. So they're just in the infancy part of really changing stuff, but they've got a lot of people engaged and a lot of interest, and we hope that'll continue to pass on to everybody in the county. So that'll be good. On the EMS side, we've had lots of partnership meetings, I guess is a good way to put that, with both our municipal partners as well as the hospitals here, trying to make sure that we're not only relevant but also are trying to stay with and ahead of the changing curve that comes along with our increased call volume and just make sure that we have the right partnerships in place. So there's a lot of that goes on day in and day out. So on the emergency management side, we've had a lot of training that we've been either attending or helping to give. We are at full staffing finally, so we're excited about that. Our new employee, he started 3 weeks ago today, I believe it was. So he's about to finish his, I call it his gap training of the online stuff that he needed just to get up to where he needs to be. So we're moving on all our cylinders, I guess you could say at this point. There was a number of incidents that we supported. There's a few of them in the back here on some tractor trailer accidents that we seem to go to. We'll have it in next month's report, but Peter was out half the night last night on 840 with that tractor trailer accident as well. But nothing of any severe consequence to the environment or property, but things that take a while to mitigate and to make sure that everything's put back in place correctly. You want to go into the radio side of it?
Yeah, so to follow up from last month, all the subscriber units have begun to ship and have actually started arriving. The structural group was here last week, wrapping up and finalizing their studies. I just got an email on that today and some additional information. The change order follow-up from last month on the sheriff's office has been completed. Those radios have been submitted for shipment. We met with the school board, and they are looking about increasing their radio fleet and also an optional console feature in their transportation dispatch area that will help them improve some of their communications that they're having versus the method they're doing now.
Talking about the console in school or in the central office?
In the central office. So right now, they don't have control. The way it's designed now is whoever keys up has control. So if they need to reach a bus, they have to wait until they can get on the air. This will give them the ability to override any user and get their message out.
So if a storm's coming in and they need to call all the buses to go pick up the kids or something, they'll have that ability to override.
Right now, it's wait for a breath, try to key in and get a conversation in. We met with the city. We had the city and the county fire and EMS together. We sat down and determined their layout for the joint use of talk groups to respond together for incidents. And we have a meeting planned this Thursday to provide the emergency button options for all the users for them to choose, if they choose to use that option, what those options would be. So we'll give a rundown of that man-down emergency feature that's on the radios. That's where we are right now. We're still working in progress.
If you, just a curiosity, being on too many fire grounds, if you got somebody that's got a mic, it's keyed, it's open, and you basically, you're done talking until you do that. Is there any way to override that, since you mentioned this?
So a console will, and then all these will have a 60-second. It can only be keyed for 60 seconds and it's brought down. But a console, any
Dispatch,
console
yeah.
dispatch has override of any user.
Okay, well, that's good. Should be able to pinpoint which user it is anyway. That
It
was
does have
the main
identifiers
thing.
too, so if somebody says, it wasn't me, oh, yeah, it was.
There's your name on your ID on the
Yeah, I've had to
console.
walk,
Right,
just
try to figure
look.
out who it was.
Yeah, it was or wasn't, yeah.
So that, all in all, this investment is going to make, not only our radio traffic clear, but the safety factors that come along with this is huge. And so we're very excited about having this in place. I believe that's about it. We've got some additional training and stuff that's coming up here soon. And we have some more that's further down the pike that I've been working with the city on with their emergency management, their emergency operations center. So we'll have some training, joint training between city and county, EOCs coming down the pike as well. So we'll let you know about that. But that's it, unless you guys got questions.
Any other questions? I think Commissioner Rutherford.
Were you at Middle Tennessee Electric? And that, has there been any, I know you brought up to maybe Dan DeMint about what they could share with your...
There's not been any follow-up since then,
Okay.
but we're trying to, great question. So our EOC, I'm in the process of trying to improve our situational awareness and using our GIS technologies that we already own here. And so part of that will be to try to get some of their feeds to come into ours so that we can watch, if it works, the power outages. I know that on a bigger level, a state level, that happens with some of the earthquake states. But sometimes at the local level, it's a little bit more of an obstacle to jump over. But I think that we can work through it, hopefully so. And as long as we have the right user agreements and stuff in place, the technology should be there. But we'll see. We'll work through.
Well, when we went in the war room, for lack of a better term, and you brought that up, I thought, I wished I had thought of that, because that was a really good idea and could help save
Absolutely,
lives.
right. So we could, when we're working in the Emergency Operations Center and we're in whether it's an ice storm or tornado wind lines like what came through the western part of the state, as we see that and we have, areas that are impacted directly and we know that there's people that are vulnerable in those areas, then that way we can send help out and to help them, but also maybe get out there and do a quicker damage assessment of that area to see where we're at with that. So I'm trying to do the best that I can to make sure that we bring in all the technologies coming into there and share with our partners, as opposed to having to rely upon only on eyes on the ground, because we've got a lot of stuff out there now that we can bring in different feeds, and I think that'll make us a lot more efficient.
If you send help, then you find out you get halfway there and there's power poles and lines all over the place.
Right.
That's where you
Right.
had mentioned that, and I just was curious if that's gone
Yeah.
further.
Yeah, we only have so much resources, so we have to do
I
our
understand.
best bang for the buck.
I
And
understand.
so things like that can, I think, help us to be more efficient.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Good question. Anything else?
Everything on track with co-locating?
We've had a lot of smaller meetings between technology and 911, and so requests are being put in place. We have I think there's a project manager that's been identified from the AT&T side. It's either been identified or it's been requested, but it's on track. So we're working through. There's lots of on the policy side, we're in good shape. It's now getting down into the weeds of making sure that all the pieces and parts are there. Yeah, right.
No, I think we're over the hard part.
Yeah, the hard part was getting where we're at. Now it's just down into the delicate part.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of with politics.
Yep.
Okay, I tell you what, why don't we just approve your report, and
Okay.
then we'll move on to the others. Have a motion to approve the safety director's report.
And move to approve.
Second.
Second, Mr. Rath. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Fire and rescue. Chief.
Gotta sit down and hold right here.
Quite a bit, bump up. There you go.
Been a very busy last couple of weeks with all the rain and severe weather. We ran pretty much all weekend, and the MVA report I'm gonna get is probably almost double since last week. We've had a lot of fatal accidents, and we stayed busy all weekend on the interstate and out in the county too with the weather the way it was. Friday evening was a disaster with all the rain. We had multiple MVAs going on at one time, so we've stayed pretty busy. For the month of September, we had 4 structure fires, run 320 medical calls, had 80 MVAs, 25 of those were with injuries and 55 were without injuries, for a total of 612 calls. You can see some of the other calls down through there. Year to date for Rutherford County Fire Rescue, we've run 57 structure fires, several brush fires, 55 vehicle fires. We've run 2,640 medical calls, and we've run 565 MVAs, 246 with injuries, 319 without, and 10 of those were extrications. And I promise you that number's gone up severely since the last 2 weeks. For our total for 5,045 calls year to date. Next page is a total call volume across the county, including all the volunteer reports. For 98 structure fires, we had 117 brush fires. 112 of those were illegal burns. Of course, this is year to date. Vehicle fires were 92. We've had 1,195 MVAs with 14 extrications. And for a total call volume countywide, 6,374 calls. Next sheet is some of the homes that were damaged by fire that will require a permit for remodeling that turned into the codes department. And then the next page is just a report on the Get Alarmed installations. We did partner with Murfreesboro Fire Department. We went with we put a insert in all the CUD bills, and if you live in the county, you probably got one of them. It's called the Shut the Door campaign for the State Fire Marshal's Office, and also Get Alarmed. And what it did, it advertised that people can get a free smoke alarm from the county or the city fire department, and we partner with that to share the expense on that. And we've got quite a few calls since they started going out. The next sheet is just the monthly fire investigation unit case report. And then the next sheet is just a rundown of some of the citations that were issued during the ban burn. They were more severe than what we issued. And then I kind of put together a illegal burn report to kind of show you some of the locations of the illegal burns that we had during the burn ban. I think there was 35 illegal burns, and then we had 37 just grass and brush fires for a total of 72. And that's about a 2-3 week span there. We had that dry spell.
Has that been lifted?
Yes, sir, it has. With the first good rain we got, I work with forestry and we lifted the ban. The state actually issued permits about 2 weeks early. Reason for doing that is it makes the fine more severe if they're caught burning without a permit, and they were not issuing permits. So that's just kind of shows you some of those rundowns.
I noticed everybody was running too, because I've seen Amable, Kittrell, Christiana, Eagleville, of course Rutherford County. Everybody was running pretty hot and heavy during all of that.
Yeah, we stayed pretty busy. Of course, it was, I think September, I don't remember September being as hot as it was, the 96 and 97. 98, very hot days with low humidity, and we get those kind of days where there's no moisture in the area. It makes it even more dangerous as far as grass fires. I would like to
I
report.
got a question on this. Why do I have to sign that form?
Well, the reason we did that, we passed a county ordinance where the fire chief could issue a burn ban. Forestry contacted me, and because they wanted to issue permits 2 weeks in advance, would make the punishment more severe money-wise. And so by you signing that, keeps the forestry from issuing permits. Because if we do it at the same time without you signing that, they're going to keep issuing permits when we're trying to ban people.
I just thought the fire chief, county fire chief should have that authority because you know better than I do.
Well,
I know it's,
he gave me that authority when we adopted
I know
it.
it's dry out there,
But you're the mayor.
I'm not gonna start one, but
You think the heat?
well, I guess so.
When we
Buck
adopted.
stops there.
Well, I didn't sign it, and then I started getting requests.
Well,
Sign this.
when I first issued it though,
Okay.
when I first issued the burn ban, there wasn't a requirement for permits.
Okay.
So Jeff Platt, the district forester, called me and said, hey, we'd like to get your mayor to sign this. That way it'll keep our people from issuing permits. Because it's kind of aggravating when you issue a burn ban and people are calling getting permits and you're telling me it's illegal to burn. Well, I got a permit from the state. So it's just really the county and state working together. You know, we're on the same page.
That was odd.
Now, if that was happening in the middle of July, I wouldn't have to worry about it. But that was we're out there on the board. We have to have permits. So it just works, trying to work together. But when you have those,
I'll see it off my authority.
I appreciate that. But when you have those hot days and the low humidity, it's just tinderbox, yeah.
September.
We did take delivery of one of our last 01 trucks. Kittrell's new trucks come in, and we're just waiting to have a radio installed in it. Kittrell did get a grant for air bottles and masks. We did not get our grant, so thankfully y'all did budget me the air bottles. So I've got the PO on that today. So we're going to be ordering 98 air packs to distribute between the volunteers and us. We're going to try to issue at least 12 packs per volunteer fire department, and that's going to be pretty much replacing the 10 that they had with a couple extra. I did work with Chief Donnell on make sure that he had the same face mask that will match up with our new air packs, and make sure they had the right bottles that they'd ordered. And also, one of the good things that with this purchase, we couldn't have got, of course, the grant come in this year. We got the Dear John letter 3 years in a row. So, but thankfully we had the money in the budget, and I want to thank y'all for that. So it was like $750,000. But with this,
That was a big one.
with this new technology though, we'll have an app on our computers at command where we can monitor every one of those bottles. We know how much air is that firefighter's got on him, and if we can watch them, if they get low on air, we can actually hit a button and evacuate that firefighter. His pack will go off, it'll set an alarm off, it'll vibrate and let him know he needs to evacuate. That way, if he's not monitoring his air, we can monitor it for him.
That's awesome.
So that's one of the good things about that. And
Have those masks got the buddy system hook up so you can go in and retrieve something?
the mask doesn't, but the pack does. You can actually plug into their pack.
That's a connection.
Basically, it comes off the side, and that way he keeps his mask on, we keep our mask on. But what we've trained to do now, as far as RIT, we carry an extra bottle in and let them hook into it instead of hooking into ours. That way they don't suck their air down mine too. So we hook an extra bottle in and bring them out. But with this technology right here, it's going to be able to help us monitor each person inside that structure, and that's huge.
Well, I was just concerned if you had to wait on a RIT team to get in to extricate somebody, say on a collapse, that we had a method to get in the air to them.
And of course, the education tools we use in that situation too. So, but anyway, I want to thank you. I can't thank you enough for the apparatus you purchased, the air packs you provided us, and we've come a long way in the last 7-8 years, and that's because of y'all's support, and I appreciate that very much.
I want You were talking about all the accidents that we've had there. I just want to say something about fire and rescue in my district in particular. I think it was Saturday before last, a young lady, really one of those first rains we actually had, out there on Versailles Road on a sharp curve, lost control of her car, slid sideways into a telephone pole. And she made that car a perfect letter C in the side of that telephone pole.
She literally wrapped around that pole.
And the driver's seat was gone. I mean, it just went all the way over to the passenger. When they got out there, and in 6 minutes, they had her out of that car, cut out and out of that car. And the ambulance and all, and she was gone to the hospital. And I mean, that's just, the way that car looked, it didn't look like you could get anybody out of it, but they were able to do their magic of cutting that car out and getting her out of there. So I just want to commend them for what they did.
I'm really proud of the guys for doing that. Then Christiana volunteers, they had a truck there, and they had a hose line man, so they were protecting my guys as they were doing the cut in case there was a fire. So everything worked well that day.
If you've seen that car, what it looks like, it's amazing. But you know, we've got that capability now within the county to do these things.
And if you notice our Facebook page, we've had several run up in the woods on the interstate and had to cut them out. So it's been very busy with the interstate and the weather. It's been a lot going on, keeping us very busy. But I do appreciate, on behalf of us and all the volunteers and all the firefighters in the county, these packs are a big purchase for them, because like I say, all theirs is obsolete. And so this will go a long way to help us continue to do what we've been doing.
Okay. Any other statements, anyone? I'll hear a motion to approve reports.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Phillips approves the report.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Gurley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Commissioner P, that's you.
Yeah, I'd like to ask the committee to suspend the rules to allow Chief Donnell from Kittrell to speak for a moment.
Do I have a motion to suspend the rules? Second. Do we have a motion to second? All right. We'll suspend the rules for Chief to come forward.
As Chief already mentioned, that we were fortunate to receive a FEMA grant. Not only that, but a week later we found out we had a state forestry grant. We have applied for several, and evidently we're on the roll getting grants. So I have a press release here that was rewritten. County Courier printed it Saturday a week ago. The Post printed it last week, and D&J's hopefully will get it out this week. I would like to read it to you. So I would like to thank the following individuals for assistance obtaining these grants. County Mayor Bill Kedron for his support to volunteer fire departments. County Commissioner Robert P. for his willingness to serve to help seek funding for the departments. Rutherford County Commissioners for their support of the volunteer fire departments. Road Commissioner Doug Bouldery for his assistance in writing this grant. Kittrell Volunteer Fire Department Board Member Heather Frazier for her willingness to aid in securing the grant, and Kittrell Volunteer Fire Department Board Directors for their supporting of the firefighters and their dedications to the community. I'd like to thank FEMA for their consideration in issuing this grant and their support for nonprofit organizations such as Volunteer Fire Department by providing grants. I'd also like to thank the State Forestry for their consideration in issuing of their grants, supporting nonprofit organizations such as Volunteer Fire Departments by providing grants. As you know, nonprofit organizations such as volunteer fire departments have to rely on grants, fundraisers, support of their communities. Such as volunteer fire departments, we have to rely on those heavily on those grants. We use these grants to provide free smoke detectors to our communities and our local government. These detectors for our communities, training, fire suppression, rescue operations, aiding in motor vehicle accidents, not only help our communities, but those who visit our communities. On behalf of the Kittrell Community Volunteer Fire Department, I want to thank all of you for what you do in supporting us. The Assistance to Fire Grant program allows volunteer fire departments to purchase needed equipment. Such equipment is vital for all types of fire and rescue operations. The grant will be used to purchase SCBA air bottles and face masks. Air bottles have to be checked and recertified every 5 years and not to exceed 15 years. After this, they have to be replaced. The face mask has to be fitted to each firefighter so they're fit properly and air will flow as needed. This is done so the firefighter who uses this device can be safe in the fire operations. As you know, it has become very expensive for all fire departments. This is why grants such as these have become a vital part of maintaining a safe environment as possible, not only for the firefighters but for the communities they serve. The Forestry Grant allows us to purchase needed items such as chainsaws, generators, exhaust fans, rakes, and such like to combat grass fires and woodland fires. These items are to replace old equipment that is no longer cost effective due to age and repair costs. And I want to thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe we're ready for Rutherford County Emergency Medical Service.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Carl.
Give Melanie the night off, so I brought her number 2 again with me this month.
I think I should be number 1 now. So.
Either one will make you look better.
The paramedics been showing off for me again very proud of them. We had a record number of 3,326 calls. It's up about 200 from last month, and we still kept our response time at 6.5. So I'm extremely proud of it. Like I said last month, the county is getting their money's worth out of their paramedics. I'm going to do a little experiment starting next month. I'm going to put a day truck down in Smyrna on the north end of the county and see if I can't get them a little relief on the Laverne and the Smyrna area. I'm hoping that this is going to bring my response time even lower than that. So we'll see. The number of DOAs for the month were 62, and 30 of those went for an autopsy. Keep in mind, if we stay at that rate, we're probably looking around $664,200 for the budget year is over. And we had a state payments for our DOAs, $1,550, and I don't know if you remember, but whenever a hospital reports a death to us or we're involved in it in any way, the state pays us $25, and we help them keep statistics on certain types of deaths. Okay, as far as collections, total billed was $1,627,554. Total collections were $455,571. Year to date is $1,920,588. Projected collections, $7,682,352. Our collection rate is at 37%. The insurance write-offs were $401,032. And other write-offs were $59,289. We had 11 thank you notes, and one from Representative Mike Sparks. Mr. Chairman, would you like me to move on straight on to the convalescent?
Yes, well, we'll go ahead to that.
Okay. The total number of calls for the month of September were 259. There was 39 that we had to decline. Total bill was $221,290. Collected $28,053. Year to date is $131,258. Collection rate is 16%. Projected yearly collections is $525,032. Insurance write-offs were $40,465, and other write-offs were $7,434. Mr. Chairman, before I ask approval of this report, I just want to ask you and this committee, are y'all pleased in the direction that the ambulance service is going? And you have any suggestions or questions for me?
Sounds like a performance review to me.
I'd just like to thank you for getting that day truck down in the north end. I think that'll make a difference.
Yes, sir.
And I'd like to comment too, that, a lot of times I think the importance of having EMS at athletic events. The last two sporting events at Stewart's Creek High School behind my house, there have been transports. And one kid thought it was going to be, didn't know what was going on with him this past Friday night. And so it's just really good. Parents were out there. The parents were excited and concerned and anxious about what's going on with their son. But they saw that there was a good EMS response there. And a lot of times I think, there are weeks that there's nothing that happens, and that's great. But when something does happen, it's also great that we've got people right there and to attend to those kids and make sure that they get the proper care. So I think a lot of times we think, well, they're just killing time. No, they're not killing time. They may be killing time, but then they get awful busy. And so I just like to let people know that when you see EMS at a football game or some other game, athletic event at your school, they're there for a purpose. They're there to take care of that child if they do get hurt.
We're there if we're needed, but hope we're not needed.
That's right.
And also,
Just one particular comment before you get into your also, the joking on the performance review was just that, intended to be that. But I've seen a change in the service that's being provided to our citizens. But beyond that, I've seen you guys begin to look at what's coming and try to be a little bit more proactive as to what's coming in the future versus reacting to things that are happening, and that's real impressive to a person like me.
Thank you.
Being not only a commissioner but a planner, a county planner as well, it's extremely important that we try to have a vision as to what's coming and react to that vision, and you guys being responsive to that is extremely important in my mind to the citizens of this county, and I appreciate that process. I haven't seen it very much in the past, but I'm beginning to see it now in the future, and from that performance review comment, it's important to a planner like some of us are, and I do appreciate you guys looking and trying to react to what's coming or focus on what's coming rather than reacting on things as they happen.
We appreciate that.
The county's going to struggle, mightily struggle over the next 20 to 30 years to meet the demands, and if we don't react to what's coming, and plan for what's coming, we're really going to be hurting, and I appreciate your department doing that. The mayor's doing everything that I think he should be doing as it relates to his office, but your department specifically as meeting those needs, because how vulnerable are your clients, you know, and just as some other comments that were just made, it's extremely important that the comments that we get are positive, and they are. And I appreciate this commissioner, and I think I'm speaking for a lot, appreciates the job that you do, and not only the job that you're doing right now, but kind of looking and making suggestions. The forensic center, okay, who knows what will happen with that, but just beginning that conversation is what I'm talking about as far as looking for the future and planning on maybe what's best long-term for this county. So good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just appreciate Director Hudgens even making that comment. It's refreshing that a director would come and ask the committee or body if they were meeting our expectations. So I appreciate that.
Very much so. Director, I just want to tell you, the other night I was headed back towards Rockville, and I met one of the ambulances coming towards me. They didn't have their lights on flashing, but the inside lights were on, and I could see in it to the point that they were working on somebody on the inside. And I slowed down a little bit, and as they come by me, we were right there at the middle school and elementary school in Rockville. And I looked over at it, and I could see into the ambulance. And as it went by, I was looking that way, and as it went by, right behind it, sitting over there at the middle school, sat another ambulance waiting. And I have to tell you how good that made me feel, because just the day before that, I was in a meeting in Igville on broadband with United. They were down there talking, and I had a lady come out just really upset because we only had one ambulance at Igville. And she wanted to know what we were doing about this and whatever. And I had the opportunity to tell them, said, we got you covered. Because when that one comes out, there's usually another one sitting out here waiting to cover this area out here. And I said, that was done by our new director. So that night, it was just, I sat there and I thought, man, I couldn't have had a camera and done this any better, because that one ambulance passing and this other one is sitting there in the shadows, ready to go. And it made me feel so good that, I mean, that was an effort that you done, because I'll never forget that night coming out down here and said, I think I got your problem fixed. And it has, and people out there are seeing it. And it's so appreciated in that part. So I think the northern end of the county will see that too.
Well, we appreciate it, and you know, we're always open to ideas. My door and phone is always open and available for any suggestions that anybody has. Believe it or not, we get a lot of our ideas from the people on the ground. You know, those are my experts, and they've made my job very easy in certain ways, and I'm just extremely proud of them, and they're somebody that this committee and the whole county can be very proud of. We've got the best paramedics in the state before, and I say that with all the confidence in the world. And speaking of confidence, we've had some embarrassment moments. We had an ambulance stolen, if you remember, a couple months ago from Vanderbilt. We have now anti-theft devices on all of our ambulances. I won't tell you how they work.
Yeah, we are on television.
They are on it, and unless you know how it works, you won't be able to steal it. When it happened in Nashville, there was 5 Metro ambulances parked beside us, but why they chose ours, I don't know. But
was the newest.
Easiest to comment.
But we have cured that problem. And I meant to tell this committee last month and just forgot, but.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment.
Okay.
Somebody that just recently took a ride in one of your ambulances for the first time as a patient. Was treated very professionally. Of course, I got a quick ride. The only thing I could suggest for the ride is maybe a little more cushioning.
Ride like a wagon.
It's a pretty rough ride when you're bunged up, which I was. But of course, I'm known for talking, and I talked to the ambulance personnel, of course, and I asked them about what they felt like was going on with some of the changes. And they were very positive. They said they feel like they've got somebody that's really listening to them now. I know one guy said he was on a 12-hour shift now, and he loved it. He'd have to fight him to get him to come off 12-hour shifts, and he can actually be at home with his family at night. And I think that's a good idea too. Hopefully that's something we can spread around. But anyway, I had a positive adventure. Other than, like I said, it was a little rough ride, and that's because I was so bummed up at the time. But got there quickly and safely, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Very good service.
Appreciate those comments, sure do. I'll take a motion to approve the report if anyone. Commissioner Gurley makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Rather, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We've got what, discussion of the forensic center?
Yes, sir. I'd like to bring Dr. McDonald and Denise Martin. They're my experts. Also, at last month's meeting, we discussed updating the white paper. I have those. I'll just pass those around. That's what white paper, I believe, is in 2017. And it's been updated, and we're here to move forward with any questions that I'm not going to be able to answer.
One comment I'd like to make.
Okay,
and,
Commissioner.
I've urged the public to review the podcast and so on of these meetings. There's been some stuff that's come out in some of the media and so on that I knew did not reflect what was said in the meetings. I was at another event this weekend where an individual was saying he was battling that all the time. And so, yeah, go back to the source and look before you start making comments on social media as if certain media outlets were the authority and knew everything there was about it. That's all I'll say.
Yes, sir, I saw those arrows that come across there, but I called it fake news, so I just moved on.
I need to go back and listen to it the second time. Well, as Mr. Chairman has requested, you and this committee asked me to reach out to MTSU. The meeting has been set. I set the meeting up with Dr. McPhee. And what's the date? 15. So we sent them a list. Didn't want to overwhelm him. We got to send them a list. So we'll have Dr. McDonald and her folks from the state will be attending. Carl, and then left it up to and Chairman Pettis also representing the commission. We've got Mark Burns and Dr. McPhee will set up whoever that they have from the forensic center. I guess the dean, the provost, I'm sure will, and probably their chief financial officer will be involved. So basically, this has taken this white paper that you have before you tonight. It's been corrected from 2017 when it was first looked at, and then we'll sit down and see where this exploratory committee leads us.
Anyone have any questions or anything you want to comment on? I appreciate you saying that, Commissioner Gurley, because, yeah, I saw those, and there'll be more. And then we also had another story that mentioned what, I guess what I would call a pushback coming from those who are in Davidson County and around. And you will have that. We'll have that. That's only natural. I think that's to be expected. But we're not looking for competition. We're looking to do something better for Rutherford County and for the citizens here. And that's what this is all about. It's not a thing at all about getting out there to compete. We're not in a sales job. We're in here to serve, and that's what this is all about. So, and there will be those that will try to put you into that position. The comments I've received have been all positive that I've had from citizens and people out here that they think it's a good idea, and glad the commission is sort of looking at this. So we'll go forward and make these contacts, make these meetings to see where we are. As I've tried to tell people, I said, we haven't promised anybody anything or signed anything or gone any direction. We are in exploratory to see where we are and what we've got. And it's just something to look at and see where we got to go from there.
Well, I heard from one or two persons too, they support the ideas and they said it's good for the county.
Yes, sir.
I've had 0 phone calls, no conversations. However, the more I've thought about this, I'm very, very excited that I don't want to say we're doing it, we're exploring this, but I like that direction, not only because part of doing this realistically is going to save Rutherford County tax dollars. That's a true statement, correct? Okay. Well, anybody that's listening or thinks this is a bad idea who's a citizen, we're trying to save tax dollars, and at the same time, there's other impacts, and it's for people. And it's not just, and I'm talking families. 2 years ago, I was the executor of my father-in-law's estate. And it's hard on a family. It's very hard. And so this can take some of that off. Not a lot, but this can relieve some of that. And then I think about Woodbury, and I think about Shelbyville, and I think about some of these counties that, how long is theirs taking and what's their cost? That if we could save, this could save them money. And this could be it could sustain itself financially, where it's saving us money, it's not costing us money. And as we've all said and agree on, that what a service that Rutherford County could provide to other counties east of us, south of us. I just think it's an awesome thing to explore. If it's meant to happen, I can guarantee you it will happen. I think we've got some very, very experienced and intelligent, much more than me, no amens, but I think the right people are involved, and I'm just very excited about this, and I just hope we keep that momentum, and I'm excited to see where this goes. So thank you guys. All right.
I think, too, there's a tremendous opportunity educationally with the university.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of death investigation, which is, these guys do a wonderful job, but certification, like St. Louis does, running that program through MTSU would be huge. Not just for us, but for the people that attend the classes.
And the one in St. Louis is the only one in the country.
I think you mentioned the meeting with MTSU on the 15th of November. That's a Friday, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's the day after the commission meets, the full commission meets.
That was our earliest
Thursday
meeting
night.
today.
So would you have information that you think you could share an update with this committee at its November meeting?
The day after.
Week after. We won't meet until after the commission meeting.
Yeah, I mean, after the commission meeting, so it'd be
Right,
December
our
meeting.
full commission meets on the 14th, which is
Yeah.
Thursday. You're meeting with MTSU, but could you,
It'll be
would
the
you
20
have,
yeah, this
would you have-
meeting will be the 23rd of November, so yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
would you have an update for this committee?
Well, I think we'll have a pretty good idea, you know, what the temperature is, if they feel it's a good idea to move forward at that point in time.
Okay, so you think so?
Yeah.
It'd be really interesting to be able to, for you to be able to share how you felt that meeting with MTSU went. If it went positive, if you have a good feeling about it, it would, I think, spur on our attempts to move this thing forward. If it's negative, it'll probably, long story short is, if you can share that and update us at our November meeting, then maybe we could even have an additional update for the full county commission as to what we're doing in December. So I don't mean to put anything on a fast track, but the timing to me seems to be right. And I've had a couple of people ask me, what are you doing? And I look at it as there are things that cost the county. In essence, they're cost centers. They cost money to run them. This one has the opportunity. It would be a cost center, don't get me wrong, but also a revenue producing center as well. And that's what excited me to the point where I could communicate that to people who are asking, and how many opportunities do we have to do that? You know, the Juvenile Detention Center has experience at doing that, and it really shares the burden of the cost. One of the things that jumped out at me in the article in the Daily News Journal recently was the contradiction of backlogs. You know, we don't have a backlog. It only takes us 4, 5, or 6 months. You know, and I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, sorry, we missed it by a month or two.
How that registered. You know, we don't have a backlog. There's no need for Rutherford County to do anything like this. You know, we'll get you the information you need in a few months. So those types of things to me were, I don't mean to say they were comical, they weren't. I know they were serious, but it just strengthens the position I think that we're in, and the performance the potential performance that this has in improving that situation. So I don't get excited about spending money, but I do get excited about saving money. And from Commissioner Rather's point of view, you know, how many times how many communities have the opportunity to coexist with the university like we do, and also perform a service at a reduced cost to the citizens of the county. So the more information you can share with us as soon as you can share it, I think we would be more and more receptive to it. At least I think we would. We're growing up. Matter of fact, we've already grown up. We've busted out at the seams. And I've heard many, many people say, I can't get there from here anymore. I can't do it. Just a quick little story. I went to work at 6 o'clock every morning from MTSU. My house is the first house past MTSU on Greenland Drive. So I'd leave my house at 5:45 every morning to be at work at 6 o'clock over off the New Salem Highway. And I'd play a game every morning to be able to make it from my house to work without having to stop at a red light. And in my 35 years, I did it one time. And I had to kind of almost fudge through that last traffic light to get there. But now, now I can't make it 2 blocks without stopping at a traffic light. And that's the similar experience that we're having. We are growing and will continue to grow, and looking forward to me is just so important, and what a benefit it could be, to the citizens of our county, and not only that, but surrounding counties, contiguous counties that we touch. So I'm getting a little bit more excited about this. I'm not sure at my age how much longer I'll be serving the citizens of the 17th district, but I would really like to see something like this happen. I know Mayor Burgess, as an example, really wanted to see the Judicial Center before the end of his term, and that happened. And nobody wanted to spend $84 million building a new building, and it's a cost center. That's what it is. This one has not only the opportunity to move beyond a cost center, but to create revenues, and I'm really excited about that. So thank you for staying on top of that, and Mayor, I know you will.
Got one question for the director. Could your office put together another cost savings to put into this white paper from a personnel standpoint, and also fuel? How many trips on a monthly basis will your guys be tied up? And sometimes if there's an accident transporting that body to and from, if it takes 2 hours to get to Nashville and then back, then you've got an ambulance tied up and personnel. In comparison, if the facility were here, it's got to be some savings.
Oh,
I would.
the transportation cost alone is huge. We knew this last month you had 30 trips.
Whereas if it only took you 15 minutes to transport versus hour and a half to 2 hours stuck in traffic. And 3 o'clock traffic is the same as 5 o'clock traffic used to be in Nashville.
Yes, sir. As far as the transport, EMS side, we don't do that anymore.
Okay, that's right. You've got a extra service.
However, we was using a company out of Nashville, and it was costing us $150 to $175. Did some negotiation with a local Murfreesboro man.
I think you made a presentation to the Public Safety Committee.
And we're getting it for $135 flat.
Okay, so he'll pick up the body and transport it.
Right.
Okay.
But I'm sure once we're local, if we have to send her here, it's going to be a lot cheaper. And it may even be where we go back to doing it ourselves, depending on the situation. But
makes sense.
I can assure you I can cut costs and transport either way. So.
A lot of different things to look at. And Commissioner Phillips, you're the only one stopping at the stoplight right now. That's all. I have to wait for 3 or 4 to go through before I
have to start around.
No, that's true.
But we appreciate it, and appreciate y'all being here this evening, and we look forward to hear what's going on.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, one thing I want to mention, to kind of follow up on what Mr. Phillips is saying. One reason to get this back quicker is we'll be meeting with our state legislators right at the first of the year or two. And either way this report goes, that's something that we probably need to address with them. If we decide we want to try to go forward, then I'd like to see, requests for funding from the state in the form of grants or whatever. And if not, some ideas from them to remedy this problem for us. So I think it'll help us either way.
Mr. Chairman, you want to share with them the interest that the newspaper did do something good. It sparked the interest of our congressman.
And that's going to be a part of it, is getting these grants right here. But I got a contact the other night coming from Congressman Dejolay's office that they wanted to meet with me because they're interested in seeing what can come out of Washington, what grants we can get from there. So I'll be meeting with them and seeing what we can do from there to see what I liked about, they said large solid grants and coming from there and what they could do to help too. So they were very interested in it, and the thing that you got to remember is the one at East Tennessee State that's named from Congressman Quillen up there. And Congressman Bill Jenkins was the one that helped to get that one funded and began up there. So I think it's great that our congressman's interested in wanting to help with this too. So we'll be talking to them, see what can be done there too. So this has sparked a lot of interest from a lot of people around wanting to be a part of it. So I think it's good. I think it's good. So we'll see what happens, where we go.
Ms. Martin, you have anything you want to add?
No, I just would like to reiterate what Dr. McDonald said. I think Rutherford County is set in such a unique and prime position, particularly with the partnerships that are going with MTSU at the moment, that geographically you're well set, but just thinking along the lines of what educational opportunities and how Rutherford could be a forerunner in changing the death investigation in Tennessee. We don't have anything close to us to train our investigators, and just having that opportunity here, that's one thing, as a death investigator for the state, I hear all the time is that they would love to have a true training facility in Tennessee rather than having to spend the funds to go outside of the state. And I think that's something that the state has the Office of the State Medical Examiner has always been looking for, an opportunity like that to partner with. So just given the timing of everything at the moment, I think this is just a wonderful opportunity for Rutherford County and its citizens. So I'm very excited to see where this goes.
Yeah.
And we'll have someone representing the Commissioner of Health at the meeting.
Dr. Lewis.
Yeah, Dr. Lewis does pass on her apologies for not being here tonight, but she does want to make sure that it's understood that she will be
there representing the
on
Commission.
the 15th and on any other meetings still going. So.
Okay, great.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate you. Pause. I've got to tell you, I just got a text here from somebody was going. They said a lot of people are upset and sort of concerned. There's a lot of police and flashing lights and police helicopters out on Middle Tennessee Boulevard. They want to know what's going on. That's where the Sheriff's Department is having their trick-or-treat. So if you're watching television, that's what's going on out there on Middle Tennessee Boulevard tonight.
Trick-or-treat. That's right.
Yes, we can.
First of all, my apologies for missing the last two meetings. I had a vacation scheduled for August and then had to have an unexpected surgery in September. So this month is going to be a little bit of catch up. So please forgive me. Thank you. For the report for September, there's nothing odd about the monthly report. The only thing that I wanted to point out was on the rabies and bite exposure report. We did have one positive case for the month of September, and it was a cat.
And it's not in Rockville.
It's not in Rockville. It's in Murfreesboro. It was a little bit concerning.
Must have hitched a ride.
Right in. We haven't had a cat as long as I've been there, so that was kind of a little bit surprising to us. What we believe happened there, it was around where they were doing new construction, and the construction company had said, oh yeah, while we were excavating, we found a cave that had bats in it, and it's believed that those bats came out, and that's how this cat contracted rabies. So it's been an isolated incident.
Rockville bats, right?
I guess, I don't know where in Murfreesboro it was, but yeah, they probably flew in from Rockville.
We've got tame bats.
Instead of going through all the monthly report like I normally do, Commissioner Reed had asked me to do kind of a brief overview of our department because it's been a while since we've done that, and Commissioner Rather, being that you're new to the committee. Just wanted to describe just briefly, I kind of look at our department in a three-pronged approach. We have three different sections. We have our in-house staff, our veterinary staff, and our field staff. Our in-house staff are our kennel attendants that do our feeding and our cleaning. They also, we have in-house staff that man our adoption desk and handle our receiving desk. We also have a couple of folks, 1.5 folks that do answer our phones. One of those folks just got hired on within the last month. So that's been our biggest complaint is nobody answers the phone. I have to leave a voicemail, so we're working on that. And I'm evaluating the call logs for live calls so that we see those increase. And we also have our public relations specialist, and she handles our volunteer program. For our veterinary staff, that includes daily walkthrough and exams of our animals, as well as our surgery programs. Last year, we did almost 4,300 surgeries, and we gave over 4,500 rabies vaccines there at the shelter. Our field staff are the ones that most folks are dealing with because they're seeing those out in the field, handling complaints of strays, neglects, cruelties, vet care yard checks, running at large, abandonments, and just about anything else that runs the gamut when folks call, and they handled 21,555 calls last year. That kind of led in, I usually give you this report at the July or August meeting. I put this on your desk for this evening. I call this a yearly trend report. I like to be able to look to see kind of where we are and how we're going year by year. So you can see there on the top part, the 2018-2019, you can see our total intakes of 6,624. 1,708 of those were our public surgeries. And you can see if you take those out, because those guys just come in on one day and they go home the same afternoon, our intake is at 4,916 of animals that are actually having to come and stay in the shelter. And I like to look at that surgery column, and as you see, as those surgery numbers go up, you can see how it correlates with our impounds going down. You can look back when I first got there, we were 8,400 impounds, and now we're at 4,900. So that makes a significant impact on our staff as far as cleaning and those type things. Also, if you look down at the outcomes, I've broken that down by dog, cats, and others. You can see that our adoption reclaim percentage continues to go up, and our euthanasia percentage continues to go down, which equals a live release rate that we're not completely pleased with, but we're much happier than we were 4 or 5 years ago. So that's a brief overview of the department. I'll be happy to answer any questions on that before we go with the other items for tonight.
What is reclaimed?
That would be an animal that an owner comes in and reclaims that animal back. It's theirs, and they can get it back.
It had adoptions there, and I'm thinking somebody adopted it, and then you didn't like them, and you took the
May have been a
animal
lost
back.
animal, somebody came and got, is that what you're
It could
talking about?
be, it could be an animal that somebody turned in that ended up, you turned in Commissioner Gurley's animal, and he came in and paid the fees and reclaimed that animal back out.
So I think, I had a guy call me about this, to surrender. So surrender and reclaim are the same thing.
Surrender would be the owner giving up the animal. The reclaim would be an owner coming in and looking for a lost animal, finding it, and taking it back home.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The real impressive statistic here is in cats. It's just so impressive that we euthanized, I started to say kill cats, we euthanized cats at the 70, 75, 80% rate 7 or 8 years ago. And now it's just way, way down. That's really cool, really cool. So the processes that we've gone through as far as catching, fixing, and releasing has had a real positive impact. Really.
Well, I kind of look at it as all a big pie. And if we missed a piece, if a piece of that pie was missing, it would kind of all collapse on itself. It's our surgery programs, it's managing our intake so that we try to come up with outcomes when an animal comes in, try to give a path on where it's going to go, what we're going to do with it at the end. It's made a difference. It's made a huge difference.
You guys are doing good work.
Thank you.
How many, just off the top of your head, how many people actually surrender and say, I don't want this animal anymore? Just.
Oh, I wouldn't even dare give you a percentage, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll bring you back stats next
I
month.
mean, is it something that happens every day, or
yes.
is it?
Sir.
How many days?
Yes, sir. It varies. I mean, if you look at that 4,900 right there, that's 100 a week. The owner surrenders, I don't think they necessarily have gone down. I think we've maintained with our population. I don't think they've necessarily gone down. But I'll be happy to bring you stats back.
No, that's fine. That was a curiosity.
No, it's a very significant amount.
How sad. That's how we got Bella.
Yes.
At workhouse.
Is that correct?
Okay, sir. Go on to your, there's no other questions, we'll go on to the rest of your report.
That was all I had on the report. The next was a budget amendment and a
Move
grant.
to approve the report, Mr.
Got a
Chairman.
motion to approve the report?
I'll second that.
Second. I got two, but Commissioner Sereno, we'll recognize you this second. We'll give Commissioner Gurley next time around.
You start the next one. You may second the budget.
All right, I believe we've got a budget amendment and a grant application.
We're going to vote on that.
Vote.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Got a budget amendment too, then was there?
We got a budget amendment coming up.
Right.
This right here was just the
The
report.
report, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I got that.
All right, so for the budget amendment, the first part you've seen numerous times over the last couple of years. It's moving additional money from our full-time veterinary line into our veterinary services, which is to pay for our contract veterinarians. It's $10,000 there. The second part of this grant, or the second part of this budget amendment is the animal-friendly grant that we get every year. That has come in, y'all approved back in the spring for us to apply for that, and the mayor to sign it, which that's already occurred. This is just appropriating the funds of $1,550 into our drugs and medical supplies to help pay for those surgeries.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner B makes the motion to approve. Second. Call the roll.
Commissioner Phillips,
Aye.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
and Commissioner Reed.
Yes. I believe you had a grant application.
I do. This is for Petco Foundation. This occurred right about the time I went out the first time. I was going to bring that to you in September. The mayor did know about it. He told me that I was good to go ahead and apply, but want to go ahead and get everything in order now. That way, if we do receive it, all the signatures can be taken care of. We're asking them for $62,200. Basically, what we're asking for is for them to help sponsor adoption events, so that they would cover the adoption cost. To help pay for microchips for all of our adoptable animals. We want to be able to track some data to see if all of our animals that leave are microchipped, what that does to our reclaim rate, and helping us track those animals if and when they come back in. And then the last part of that is money to take any animal that's on the adoption floor that is heartworm positive, and for them to cover the treatment to reduce a barrier for them to be adopted. And the total, again, is $62,200. There's no county funds to match if we receive it.
So you're just applying for the grant?
We have applied, just getting everything, like I said, in order. That way, if we receive it, the mayor can go ahead and sign it. We'll bring back a budget amendment at that time.
Okay.
Do you need any motion on our part?
No, he's just telling us it's there.
Thank you.
All right.
That's all I have.
Got one last thing, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
You've got, Michael, you got 4 months basically under your belt at this point in time. The bump in salary increase, because you have been coming to us about trying to keep your help, have you noticed, has that made some difference for you?
Yes.
Of increasing pay?
We have 12 officers in the building actually working. We used to have, just the 10 budgeted positions. We never were able to keep that filled during my time. We have all 12 positions filled, and I actually thought about today of when the last time we had an officer come and resign. So that has significantly helped.
Thank you.
The full-time kennel attendants, Commissioner Phillips, I know you had asked a question about that, I think, while I was out. All 3 of those positions are filled. We still have a few issues as far as with our part-timers, but right now, I'm trying, knowing that things start to slow off around this time. I could really use one more at times, but I don't want to hire that position and have too many folks. So we're kind of keeping that open and making do, but it is working. Our folks are very appreciative of
You're talking about hiring another full-timer?
I'm sorry?
Another full-timer?
Another part-timer is what I would be looking at.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good deal.
Before you take off, I wanted to mention too, you'll notice on the tab, and I got a notice from the Tennessee Cattlemen's Association.
Talking about
There's been a change in the, yes. I don't know if that was going to come up, but I wanted to mention it and maybe ask if we could put that on the county's television station. That way that people can access the phone number in case they have need of dead stock removal. So.
Actually, Mac Nolan was the one that found that out. He called me last week wanting Appertain's phone number, and he contacted and was kind of surprised everyone. I don't know when everybody was going to be notified, but
yeah, it just sort of happened out of the blue. And so I said, put it in here so all of y'all would at least have it. And so what he's talking about there, of course, is the county dead stock removal program. We now have a new service that is doing that. So you have the number that is in here tonight. So you may want to make note of that. Those of you that live in town, when you need to carry your horse or dead cow out to the road, you've got a number here to call it.
Okay.
But you'll be surprised how many calls you get on that, especially in the rural areas, and how much that's needed. So we hope this group does a good job with it.
Thank you.
I'm glad. That is a good idea. We need to put that out there, maybe sometime on the county television to sometime mention that number.
If you'll get that to Ashley, she'll get that out. Work with Megan and IT. We can get that on the website and start pushing that for you.
Okay, I'll get in touch with her in the morning.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Juvenile detention. Okay, Ms. Lynn.
Good evening. All right. Before you have our report for the month of September. And of course, there's several reports that go along with that, and I don't know that there's anything unusual about those reports, but I will happily answer any of those questions if you have them.
Any given day you have beds available?
Yes.
Okay. Collections?
No problem so far.
Good. As far as personnel, I know you struggled.
We're actually doing well with our full-time right now. We still have some part-time openings, and we're working on that. So.
How many part-time you need?
We just started 2 this week, so I believe we have 1 EA and 1, which is an educational assistant, and 1 part-time detention officer.
Keep us posted on that when you do your report as the openings that you have, and if you're having difficulty filling those things.
Okay, gentlemen, you have the report. Any questions? Any other more questions?
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve the report.
Second.
And second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? I believe you have 3 memorandums of understanding.
Yes, I do. Before I do those, did the contract with Smith County make the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
It's here.
Great. Would you like to do the MOUs together or separately?
They are different. I was just looking at them. I thought if they were all just alike, probably several. Let's do them differently.
Okay.
We'll
The
start
first
with.
2 are very similar.
Well, we'll do separately. Rutherford
Okay.
County Agriculture Extension.
So, several years now, we've been had been asked to have a co-op plan in the event of emergencies, and because we actually house youth, we have to have some relocation sites, and we have a primary relocation site and a secondary relocation site. So our first MOU is with the Rutherford County Agricultural Extension, and that is our secondary relocation site. And that would just be used long enough for us to get the kids out of the building in the event of a building failure, and to make phone calls to arrange for them to be transported to other facilities or to their home county or whatever the case may be. So that's more of a staging area with this MOU.
Okay. I'll hear a motion to approve this one.
Motion to
Mr. Gurley.
approve.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Peay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. I believe we have the Rutherford County Correctional Work Center is next.
Right, and this is very similar. This MOU is with the Correctional Work Center. This is our primary relocation site. We have had to use them twice in the past. They have been fabulous to work with. They always make room for us and make sure that we have everything that we need. This is more, we have used them, maybe the longest was 8 hours, and that was long enough to clear our building from a bomb threat both times. So that's long enough to make sure that the facility is safe before we return them back into the housing area.
Closer proximity.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
Also move.
Second.
A second. Commissioner Rather. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I believe we have another one with a volunteer behavior healthcare system.
Right, so as part of the Prison Rape Elimination Act, which is a federal law that correctional facilities have to go by, we are required to offer some mental health counseling or some emotional support for young people in the event that they request it while in our facility relative to sexual assaults, not that necessarily happen in our facility, but that have ever happened to them. So in the event that this becomes necessary, or if while they're detained with us, they request or ask for these type services, this MOU's with, locally it's known better as the Guidance Center. They will come over, they will meet with the young people on a recurring basis if necessary. The Guidance Center will, if the youth has insurance, will bill their services through that child's insurance because they're still in the custody of their parents, and all of our medical services fall back on parents. So that is billed to insurance, and in the event that the child does not have insurance, then we have some money in our budget that we've talked about before where we can pick up those costs for the young people that require these services, and to date we have not been billed for these services.
And they're located in Chattanooga.
No, the Guidance Center is here in Rutherford County, here in Murfreesboro.
Headquarters in Chattanooga? Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Commissioner P., do you have a second?
Second.
Commissioner? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I believe you have a amendment or a contract with the Smith County?
Yes, this is a contract for detention bed services with Smith County. We have had a contract with this county in the past, and they wanted to update their files, so that we said fine, not a problem for us. And I don't know if they had some change in their county mayor at the time or what, but we're running the Smith County back through at their request. And this is for our standard, this is our standard contract. It's for $175 a day per child, and has been, the county attorney has looked at this contract, and it is, he's good with the language that it includes.
We're on the contract with them right now. This is just an update
Yes.
contract. They do okay to pay.
Oh, yes.
Move to approve.
So motion to approve. Have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Do we have, well, how many counties total do we have contracts with now?
It's in the 40s. I want to say it's 43.
And we had many drop over
No.
the years.
The only one that we drop in and out with is the state of Tennessee.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Correctional Work Center report.
Mr. Mayor, while the Correctional Work Center is coming up, let me ask a quick question, and it might not bother anybody, but it bothers me a little bit. Like these memorandums of understanding that we just took a look at, the place to sign, it says Rutherford County Juvenile Detention Director and then Rutherford County Agricultural Extension Director, without listing the name up under that, the typewritten name under that. And some of those names I have no way of reading. Don't you think it's a good idea to type the name under there in addition to the signing of the name?
I think that would, most contracts are that way.
Who types those things up?
I think it's
Well,
that's a standard form, isn't it?
in our department, I typed it up, but I ran it through the county attorney's office, so I think we just missed it. But that's not a problem to add it.
Yeah, it's not just you. I've noticed it on several others too. But once again, it may just be me, but I kind of like.
Well, most every contract I have to sign on behalf of the county, it has signature and this says print, print name, so it's legible because so many people can't read it. Yeah,
Like me.
Yeah. Everybody's signature is so unique and you can't make head or tails out of it, and everybody tries to make it where you can't forge it right.
Okay, sir. Your turn.
Good evening. We'll start with the Work Center minutes from our October 7th meeting. You can read over those. Just about the normal stuff. Nothing too different than normal. Just kind of going over what's been going on at the facility as far as programs and our budget and things of that nature. Everything's going right as planned with our budget as usual. So I'm going to skip over to the yearly activity report. Let's see. No, this is program reports next. That's for our work release program. No significant changes. We're still running about 20-25% of our population is on work release, going out every day, working, coming back in and making money. So that's going well. Our yearly activity report is basically our population. It's running about the same. We've been getting a few more walk-ins recently, and then some of those have had some addiction issues where we'd have to turn them around and send them back up to the sheriff's office.
So if I just walk in, you'll take me?
If you want to walk in, I'll definitely take you.
What if we bring him, would you do?
I'd rather him walk in. That way we can see that it's voluntary.
We don't have drive-through.
But I've got a sale for you, and I mean it's just made for you. So, but by walk-in, you got. You have to forgive me. Sometimes I use the same terms for the past 25 years. I forget, but the walk-ins are judgments, judge-ordered guys that have been given that straight order from court to appear. So those are the walk-ins. Those are our walk-ins. Or Commissioner Gurley, of course, you come over anytime. No drive-through. Thank goodness most of them don't have a license anyway. But the population is running about the same. Still great relationship with the jail staff and the sheriff. We're taking as many as they can give us. We have noticed over the past couple of years, especially, that we've been a little limited as far as health concerns of people in our county, and obviously addiction issues. If someone has major health issues, less likely that they're going to be able to go out and work and do days hard labor without us paying for it. Some of these same medications that all of us in this room are on, but we're responsible for ourselves, and the county's not responsible for us. So we've seen that, and some addiction issues. We've been preaching it for years, but before it's safe for someone to come in and stay at our facility, they need to have detoxed.
And so we will send them back over to the sheriff's office with 24-hour medical care detox, and then we'll bring them back as soon as they're clean. And we have shortened that time down to as close as we can possibly get it. So monthly worker report, if you'll notice, these are guys that are going out in the community and working every day. Total combined savings in Rutherford County, $117,280 by using inmate labor throughout the county. Our state litter pickup for September, that has right at tripled since we signed this new contract with Department of Transportation. And this past month, it looks like we brought in $5,293.50. So we're able to get out there and do a whole lot more now that we've signed that contract. And we're just kind of chomping at the bit to be able to get out and do these interstates. I drive up and down them every day. My wife and I were going somewhere a couple days ago, and I was like, we can get that, we can get that, we can get that. So we're just kind of...
Got your hands in yet?
We haven't yet. We're still waiting on that. And that front end fell out of one of the other ones the other day, so we're barely going to make it.
And Bill said the whole front end. Just
Luckily, it was parked on the side of the road, and it just dropped. So, but you know, when you're driving around in 20 some odd year old vehicles, I mean, we're going to have to keep. That's one of the lessons that we're afforded. You all have helped us out with that, and that's going to make a huge difference. I mean, we'll be able to get out and do more. The one vehicle that's assigned to administrative staff, the security system has somewhere the chip reader between the ignition and the key has stopped communicating. So every time you turn it off, you can't start it back. So you have to do this little code and then wait 10 minutes and then crank it up. So
I bet you got somebody there that can start it.
well, let me tell you, I've gotten pretty good at it myself. But it's that 10 minutes you have to sit there in either the cold or the hot. That makes the difference. So, but needless to say, our money has tripled, or no, it's right at tripled, and the mileage too. I mean, it's not just the fact that they upped that charge per mile, but they've given us a little more leniency on how many more miles and areas we can cover now, so we're doing a lot more of that. And before I move on to these subrecipient agreements, I think that should be in, was that added? I know it was a last minute for the grant. It's not there?
No, it's not.
Okay. Last I heard, our grant coordinator was going over it with legal, so I could probably at least let you know about them, and then we'll might have to bring it back up next time, or
what's your deadline on the grant? Is there a deadline?
There's not. It's already, we have received the grant, awarded the grant. These are just the agreements with the sub-recipients. So there's no real urgency. We just have to start by the first of the year, and in order to start the money going to these sub-recipients, we have to pass it through. So
just for information on it.
Yes, sir.
Is this the volunteer behavioral health?
It is,
the
yes,
family
ma'am.
center? She had said, she sent me the file, but she didn't upload it to the iPads because it was still with the county attorney.
Okay, so that's probably where it's stuck at. But,
Yeah.
but we've already gone over it once or twice with county attorney. We met with all the agencies end of last week, and we've been in constant communication with them. So,
Mr. Chairman, could we pass a motion, since it's with the county attorney, and the motion be worded pending approval of the county attorney and forward on to budget, so that we don't have to have another month delay on this?
I'd say you could. Commissioner?
I'll make a motion to approve these grants pending approval of the county attorney.
Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
We have a second. I tell you what, we'll just call a roll on that one too.
Is that necessary? Do we need to do that? Hadn't they already been approved?
They've been approved, but
So
the
You're still waiting.
I'll
You're
just
still waiting.
run
the grants have been approved, but has this
The sub-recipient agreement, which we would normally have done with an MOU, this is a little different grant than ones that we're used to. This one's with the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Program, so.
probably on the record.
Yeah, it probably does
We need
need
to go on record
to,
that.
just because there is a binding contract.
Could
Could you just read what they are again, that you would?
Read the, what they are.
The first one is the Volunteer Behavioral Healthcare Systems. And if you want to, I've got one copy, but like I said, this. And the Family Center, Inc. And the last one is with Middle Tennessee State University.
Well, and let me explain now, so I guess would be probably the easiest way. The one with Volunteer Behavioral Health, we've worked with Guidance Center I've been doing grants with them for 20 years. They're going to provide the counseling portion of it to these inmates. This is the program that we talked about several months ago. We've applied twice for it. The first time we didn't get it, the second time we did. This is going to be addressing the needs of incarcerated youth, of the children of those who we have incarcerated. So they will be doing the counseling portion of it, the actual treatment. The Family Center, who we've been working with, I think, probably 14 years with the work center at least. They already do a parenting program. This is going to be a parenting program plus. This is going to be bringing the children in for supervised visits, one-on-one counseling with the parents, one-on-one counseling with the children. So they'll be doing the classwork, that type of thing. And then with MTSU, they'll be collecting all the data. They'll be doing research, which they've done most of the work already, to be honest with you. And they will be collecting everything that is taken from it and putting it together and putting it into a format where we can use it in the future. So that's MTSU's portion of it. One of the professors I've been working with for the past couple years, and the other one I've been working with for close to 20. She used to work for Volunteer Behavioral Health, so those are the two professors that we'll be working with.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, we'll let you call the roll.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Sherino?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
And Chairman Reed.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
And if we want to talk about staffing, just to let you guys know, we have one position open. It's been open for a little while now. I actually have the opportunity to be a little more choosy because our turnover rate is not very high. So we've got one position open. We've had it open for about a month now. We've done interviews. The person that we've chosen is in the mental health evaluation stage now, which takes a little bit of time. Hopefully they'll be able to pass that because we have run into an issue where it's about 50-50, and which explains another issue that the Sheriff's Office is having with hiring too. So, but no, things are good. Things are good.
Okay. So
We approved his report.
thank you, sir.
Have we approved
Yeah,
his
we've
report?
approved the report.
Okay.
All right. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other business? Anyone? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. We're adjourned.